Hey, Ronnie Dale, fourwheelingwesternaustralia.com. Welcome to a review, this one specifically to 70 series owners. So yes, you guys with the VDJ 70 series V8 turbo diesel engine, the wagon, which is the 76, the Troopy 78, or the 79s, single cab and dual cab. This review, all about the Rapid Power water cooled or 100% sealed alternator. I purchased one of these 3 years ago. Went in the vehicle at 50,000 Ks and it's almost at 140,000 kilometers now. Installed by PDP, so unbiased review to the product, slight biasness, if that's a word, to PDP who installed it for me. How did this unit come about and why do people put them in their vehicles like myself? Well, before I answer that question, I'm going to answer a different question. Now, what I get asked by a lot of people who meet me in person, because of my modified series, I ask everyone in Q&A. This is a question I ask in all modified series. What are your favorite 3 modifications that you've done? Top 3 mods that you've done to this vehicle. What are your top 3 mods you've done to this vehicle? Like your favorite 3 mods? I have the answer for it. The number 1 mod that I've done to my 70 series Land Cruiser has been this particular alternator. The second one, just so you don't ask me in the comments below what the second one is the parabolic leafs on the rear of the vehicle. Because I don't have a big leaf pack like this, I now don't get caught up on ruts and I'll get more flex. The third one is the track correction on the rear. So those are the top 3 favorite mods, but I just wanted to emphasize that because this is the number 1. And the reason why that is the number 1 is because now my vehicle is bulletproof in reliability. Toyota has a good reputation for being reliable. However, on the VDJ 70 series, this is one of the weakest points, or the weakest point. For well-traveled users of the 70 series Land Cruisers and miners, I think you all know why, and I'm going to explain it now anyway. This is a factory alternator. It sits about this high in the vehicle engine bay, roughly about here, give or take 100 mil. Now, there is nothing wrong with this alternator at all. It's just like any other reliable alternator. However, it hangs so low on the vehicle, as I've just explained, it will cop all the mud. When an alternator like this, like most alternators in all vehicles, when they cop mud, they will seize up and stop working at some point. They will corrode inside. And that's what happens to this unit. Now, there is a way to fix this, and look, for people who can't afford or justify one of these units, that's fine. There is a solution for this which can get you out of trouble, but it is not a bulletproof solution. You can carry an extra brush kit, and I'll show you later in the video how you pull it apart and clean it. So this is an old unit from my vehicle, and it's gone, it's dead. I've had to clean up brush kit, I think a total of 3 times. The main problem with these modern day engines, they need the alternator to be working. It's not like an old school 60 series Land Cruiser or something. All you got to do is just get it started, it going. The alternator doesn't matter, the engine's still going to run. It just means you can't run your lights and all that kind of stuff. This needs to run. Now, the unit I have is a red unit. This is a silver unit. There is no real difference apart from the casing is slightly different and they look slightly different. It is water cooled, so it uses your heater hoses. Well, it has heater hoses. It plumbs into your radiator or cooling system. So coolant will flow through this unit and cool it down. And that's how this thing can remain 100% sealed. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out of this unit. Also, with the wiring on it, it's upgraded. It's upgraded so it can actually, you can get the full use out of the 140 amps that this unit produces. The old unit is rated to 140 amps, but from testing the boys have done at PDP with putting loads on vehicles and whatnot, the most I've ever seen coming out of one of these units has been between 80 to 90 amps of usable power. This one here, you can crank right up to 140 of usable power. So that wasn't even one of the main reasons why I've got this unit. The main reason was so I could keep my vehicle reliable. You've probably already got that one. from all these mud holes that I've gone through, from being remote, just dust, sludge, moisture, all that kind of stuff. Another thing I'd like to add, the original unit is like a smart alternator. The ECU on this vehicle, it will restrict this alternator depending on ambient temperature or the temperature in the vehicle. If your aircon's running, that can affect how much comes out of this unit as well. Also, the loads that your vehicle demands can have an effect on what comes out of this unit. This unit here does not rely on that system. It'll produce whatever it needs to. Doesn't matter how hot it gets, it'll still produce the same or what you need. It'll keep up. If I'm winching with all my lights on at 1,500 RPM, I'm pulling about 100 to 110 amps out of this unit. At full RPM, 140 if needed. So you're seeing the screen right now that the original alternator pulls a lot less than the rapid power one at low RPM. And then at high idle, side by side, you will see the rapid power pulling way more than the existing factory Toyota one. It's not a lab test, it's not a 100% fair test, but you can easily see that one will produce a lot more power than the other one. Have I had any problems with my unit? Not apart from when it was first installed. I found that my red unit wasn't charging enough to start with. So at idle speed, it wasn't charging enough. The battery light would sometimes come on and I could see the volts on my scan gauge, how much it was putting in. It wasn't putting in enough. So I went back to PDP and they have since developed, so I was the first to put it in, so every unit since then, they have their own internals in it to make it actually charge right at the low RPM. So as far as I know, that's only available through these guys at PDP. So yeah, and as I said, there's a slight bit of biasness towards PDP, but they have done a great job on mine. I haven't had any issues with it, and they improved the product too. So I guess everything you heard about this one has all been positive. So let's get into some cons. It's slightly more heavier than that, but it's no deal breaker, that's for sure. Look, you need slightly more coolant in your system. That's no deal breaker. The price could be a deal breaker, but think about it this way. Do you want to be unreliable with that one or reliable with this one? I guess the other question is, do you or do I need one of those? Well, do you need one of those? If you stick to the beach and you just go on a couple of trips, you don't go anywhere far remote where there could be a lot of dust, mud, all that kind of stuff, that factory unit is fine. Stick with it. There's no reason to go for that unit. If, however, you are going to run into muddy situations or you want 100% guaranteed reliability, then I would go for one of those, especially if you're going really remote, dusty environments, then you add a bit of moisture. Now, I would consider one of those over any other mod any day of the week if I had a brand new Land Cruiser. But that's me, and that's the travel that I do. If I was out there fishing, why would I spend money on that? I would just stick with that one. So I think you get my point there. So if you want to play in the mud, you don't want to do it with one of those. In fact, we just came back from a tag-along tour and we had to rip out one out of the Troopy and clean that unit up and put it back in. So as promised earlier, I was going to show you how to fix these on the track. So what you need, 8mm socket, Phillips head screwdriver, a piece of wire, this is very important, and some pliers. So you can do this while it's still connected to the vehicle. So this case here comes off. There is another cover that sits underneath it, you need to take that off too. So just quickly zap this one off. Once you get the casing off, here's the brush kit. That's what you need to get to, and that's what is affected at the moment. is we need a screwdriver. Now be careful, as you can see in here, I've rounded one of these off out in the bush. I actually tried to show you out there, but I rounded the bloody screw so it's easy to get to here in the workshop. So you got these 2 screws to remove. So here we go, it's off. Here's your brushes inside here, inside this casing. You may find in your case that they are stuck down, which means they're not contacting inside the alternator. So what you need to do is clean this out. Even better, if you have a spare one of these are quite small to carry, you can just swap it out. But you need to clean all this out as well. So contact cleaner is the number 1 thing to go to. Otherwise WD-40, and also brake cleaner, one that, that evaporates and dries straight away. That's what you need. So, say we've cleaned this, we're ready to put it back on. So you need to push these brushes up. These ones here. Thread the wire through. Just watch your finger as you do it. And you'll get through that little slot there. From there, place it back on, pull the wire out, now it's back on. And you put your screws back in, put your plate on, and off you go. The most important thing is that piece of wire. If you don't have that piece of wire, you cannot put the brush kit back in. You're going to have trouble with that. Look, you really need that piece of wire. So if that doesn't work, this is what you do. Hey, just stay out of the mud. You won't need one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here. Watch this other review down here, whichever review that is, and I'll see you in another video. Oh, and requests for reviews down below. Cheers. See ya.